Luke James. You're a Grammy nominee for Best R&B Album for To Feel Loved. It's your first album in 6 years, and you've talked before about how it better represents who you are as an artist than your previous album. So in what ways did this feel like a truer expression of yourself?
Well, thank you. This is my first independent endeavor, and this is the first time I didn't have a lot of chefs in the kitchen. When you're signed, it's a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and when you're doing it independently and you're doing it by yourself on your own, you have more control and as to what you want to say and how you want to say it. And for me, that was very important, being that this is something I've always wanted to do as a child. I've been incubating and creating my my music, and to have a middleman between you and the very thing that that you've developed such a relationship with is I mean, that's hard, that's terrible, really, to be fair. In my experience, it wasn't fun, and I didn't have fun, and I felt like I wasn't creating my best work, and I wasn't my full self. So this endeavor is truly my emancipation in some ways. And it's all me, and it's I guess it's for me, it's the beginning of my own journey of stepping into my own light.
And when you were first recognized by the Grammys, like you were working with a studio, and now to be
Yeah,
nominated as an independent artist, does it feel different to sort of get this recognition for this particular album in this way?
absolutely, it does feel different, I'd say, because this is music. Some of this music will on the album I've sat with for 4 years, and just taking my time, and really doing it my way. And so it absolutely does feel different. It kind of, the Grammys being, something voted on by our peers, you want people who do music 24/7 to, in some ways, you would love for that type of admiration. And I think Grammys is one of the highest for us musicians. So it absolutely does feel different, especially just in totality. My team, my management, starting, Jonathan Azu starting his own label, his own entity, and me partnering up with him. And after years of himself being with Red Light Management, doing things with them, to have some sort of success, both on, for ourselves, doing it our way, it's a lot, and it's absolutely different, for sure.
And you mentioned that this music was kind of cooking, for you for like the last several years.
Yes.
Like, what was that songwriting process like? Was it like a little bit here, a little bit there, like the inspirations is sort of coming
Abs-
over in
yeah,
waves, or?
yeah, absolutely. A little bit here, a little bit there, a lot of, well, and within that time, I was dealing with I was dealing with a bit of depression. So it yes, it's a lot of different, it's a lot of ups and downs, and feeling like making music, the ego, and creating, creating a lot of different things to see what it is you want and what you don't want, and it's like science. You throw it, you try different formulas, and you just keep pushing to the things that move you the most, and those things you tuck away, and you say, well, that smells good, it's not quite there yet, let me put it back in the oven and give it some time, and I'll come to it, and hopefully it'll be ready. And so that's kind of what the process was, and taking my time, and just living life, having experiences and revelations, and
um, yeah, kind of help inspire and push me towards what I released. So yeah, I don't know if that
Oh
explained
yeah,
it.
yeah, absolutely. But and the album does have a very cohesive feel, though. Like it feels very much like exploring uh, the physical, emotional, spiritual like
Yeah.
levels of love and longing.
Yes.
Like, did it have like any kind of singular inspiration to the songs, or did all the songs kind of come from a different place?
Um, it's funny. I listen to the project now, and it's sometimes it happens. I know I'm not the only artist that this happens to. Like, you create something and you're in the moment, and it takes however much time, and once it's fully a full body of work, you sit back and then you give it a listen, and then you realize that I realized that I created some sort of love letter. um to feel loved is something that I yearn for. To feel love is something that I longed for. So in doing that, I guess, and titles sometimes, most times for me, come after all of the work is done, and I listen to it and I realize what it all is. And I guess my journey was to feel these things, to feel that feeling of love, in a way of admiration for myself, my own self-esteem, my own love for my own worth and my own capabilities, and my own relationship with music, which I find to be a God-given thing. Um, I heard someone say it's an extension of God's consciousness. So I feel like, in some ways I felt like I lost somewhat of that, and to find my way back to that. Um, yeah, in totality, it's that's what I guess the body of work is something I yearned for, looking for. So love is what I wanted. So love is what I put out.
And in the midst of this album is gratitude, which is
Yes.
this lovely kind of 90-second interlude, just about sort of acknowledging the blessings in your life.
Yes.
What inspired that? And I think it features words from Kirk Franklin.
Yes.
Like what inspired sort of that element on that album?
Well, I had a moment where I was in the studio creating. I was in the booth with my with one of my collaborative partners, Cobain Ivory, and I was frustrated. I was truly frustrated. I believe I was also hangry. Um, so I was just in my head a lot, in the booth trying to figure out. We were working on another song, and I just wasn't feeling it. And then I asked for a blank sheet, um, and I just asked them to record. And in that darkness, in that silence, in that moment, as I was feeling frustrated, I had to remind myself that everything is okay. Everything is fine. You are truly blessed, man. You have nothing, all of this feeling that you're putting onto yourself, that is somewhat the ego that is creating this idea inside of you that is making you feel this way when everything is okay. You have to acknowledge it. So in that moment, I began to sing or scream or sing or whatever. I am blessed. I am blessed, blessed, blessed. And just singing it, just constantly like affirmation, And after doing that and creating and realizing, oh wow, this is something sweet, and I'm feeling full, creating just a part of that body. I lived with it for a couple months, and I got in contact with Kirk Franklin, and we became good friends, and I just knew I needed a voice that that can help open up whatever that is, even further. I feel like there's another level to that it can go to, that would really reach the soul. And I grew up on Kirk Franklin. In some ways, he was the voice that kind of brought me to a better understanding of God's love, right? And via music, obviously. And I said, why not? This is perfect, you know. This is divine. This is right. So he was elated to do it. He came to Atlanta. He went in the booth and he just started, you know, he was in the spirit, and he said exactly what was needed.
And yeah, you talked about working with Cobain Ivory on the album. You also worked a lot with Danja and Patrick Hayes. Like, what was it like that collaborative process on this independent effort where like you're really kind of getting your own voice in a way that you hadn't before?
Wow, it was a lot of, you know, you have to work through because we all are working creatives and creators, and you know, you first have to work through the ideas of what the I guess the goal here, and being though it's truly personal for me, it took some time. So it took some years, you know, it took some in the studio working day and night to collaborating with different people, you know, trying different things. It was fun, to be fair. It was fun. But also, you know, there was those dark times that were just personal for me because this is myself going through, this is my body of work and my art, and me trying to find myself. And it's really hard to find yourself. It's really hard for other people to help you find yourself, in the sense when you don't really know what it is you're doing. So I'm pretty sure they would say that it was quite an experience, but well worth it. I mean, look, well worth it. Here we are. Um, I'm grateful for those guys. I'm grateful for them to allow me the space, you know, the space to really to find something that is truly important to myself and them, you know, and in doing that, here we are. We're being is such a gift.
And you know, even though this is your first album in 6 years, you've been creative since then. You've spent a lot of time acting.
Yeah.
How's that sort of creative outlet differ to you, or similar maybe to music?
Well, I used to think that it was another side of my brain, but it isn't. It's all emotional and storytelling and being present. And what acting did, it allowed me to think differently, see the world differently, see myself differently. Um, I was blessed to be a part of some musical driven projects, which in doing that and preparing for those things forced me to listen more, right? Listen not to myself. I had to step away from Luke James because you're becoming someone else. So you give a blank sheet of paper and and there you write. And those some of those ideas I related to, and those ideas conjured feelings within me from my childhood, and which opened me up in a different way that allowed me to express myself in a different way, and now listen to music differently and project music differently, create music differently. So that was a great break, in a sense. Something I needed, creative break that I needed to help me get back to the very thing that started it all for me, you know?
And one sort of unforeseeable kind of circumstance around this album, you released it in January, and then a couple of months later, we're in a pandemic in the United States and of course all over the world. What was it like, sort of like, because I imagine like everyone's plans in the industry had to suddenly change for the year. So what was it like putting out that album at that time, and sort of being a musical artist and musician in this very difficult period for the industry?
You know, it's weird. I didn't put much on it. I honestly didn't think too much about. It was out already. The music is out already. I had just wrapped the first leg of my tour. The only disheartening thing was that I couldn't continue the tour, but the music is out. And the beauty of being born in this time, we have great technology where, you know, it's accessible. You don't have to go to a store. It's right there for you. I was more so thinking about survival. I was more so thinking about my mom, thinking about my family, just trying to understand what this is, where we are. In some ways, it's not bullshit, but it was bullshit, you know, in the sense of what the whole scheme of things, where we are as people and surviving, and the whole thing that's going on with of course, the racial tension that's been forever, but all of a sudden, you know, heightened because we're all stuck at home and watching it. And, you know, that space kind of just allowed me to just, you know, be more human, be present in this moment right now. And it wasn't until I didn't start thinking about the music and how to get it going again or get people to listen or whatever. I didn't think about that until, I don't know, recently. Because to be fair, you know, we were in a pandemic. Really nothing else matters but our survival. But I was grateful that the music was out and people got to live with it and sit at home with it. And hopefully it gave them such much peace, pleasure. And that's as far as I was feeling with everything.
Well, I want to congratulate you again on your Grammy nomination this year. Best of luck in January
Thank you so
when
much.
the awards are held, and thank you so much for the album and your falsetto, because
thank you.
I'm blessed with the vocal range. So
thank you. I've been working on it, and I'm grateful. I'm really grateful, honestly. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you again, and it was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Let's do it again next year.
Yes. We'll put out another album, definitely.
Thank you.